Hello and welcome to the programme where you can help solve crimes. Everything you see tonight will be for real. Real crimes reenacted as and where they happened with the help of actual witnesses. The detectives behind me are hoping that you might recognise something. If so, you can call us and speak in confidence, either to a detective or to a BBC researcher.
In case you do see something you recognise, you may need pen and paper. This is the number here, but police throughout the country are waiting for your call. The cases we're about to show you are often those where the police have almost exhausted ordinary methods of inquiry. In other words, they're the crimes that are the most difficult ones to solve. But with your help, last month's Crimewatch once again achieved results.
We showed how last June in Bristol, a young mother, an American artist called Shelly Morgan, left her 2 children to go painting and simply disappeared. Her body was found 4 months later at Watercatch Farm near Backwell. The police had very little to go on, but after the programme, 120 people came forward with information. Until then, her movements could only be traced up to the point where she got onto a bus near her home at Bedminster. Now, with your help, we now know what happened after that. At a little before 11 o'clock on Monday the 11th of June, a viewer saw Shelly Morgan board the 354 bus at Bristol bus station. The 354 travels towards Backwell, where the body was found. At 11:15, she was seen to get off that bus at Long Ashton, and as she did so, a van pulled up. It's thought to have been a royal blue Ford Transit, and the driver, unlike the one shown here, was wearing a white T-shirt. He waved Shelley to the window, and she seemed to be giving him directions. In fact, apparently they were heading the same way, and the driver may have offered her a lift. Detectives now need to trace that driver, if only to eliminate him from their inquiries. If you can help, here's the number, 01811 8055. Or you can call the incident room at Nailsea. That's Bristol 854 011 0272 854 011.
Then there was the armed robbery in Shropshire. After seeing our reconstruction, more than 250 viewers called in to offer help. We showed how a security van was ambushed in a country lane and £500,000 was stolen.
Quick, now, come on!
One of the raiders' vehicles, a yellow lorry, had driven 200 miles from Chelmsford in Essex to the ambush spot at Wem. It had been bought the day before at auction, and 2 men who were at that auction rang to tell us that they saw the lorry leave, accompanied by a blue Ford Escort car. A blue car, but with a green passenger door. Very distinctive. The police are following that up, and if you know such a car, please do let us know.
There have been strong new leads on several of the other cases we've dealt with on Crimewatch, but in particular there's been a development in the past few hours on one of our major appeals last month. The man in charge of the Brighton bomb inquiry asked for your help. If you recall, he especially wanted to hear from a Roy Walsh, who stayed at the Grand Hotel on the 15th, 16th and 17th of September. Following 80 calls to Crimewatch, Detective Chief Superintendent Jack Rees is back in the studio to explain why he's now stepping up the hunt for Roy Walsh, and it's looking increasingly like this is your man, is it?
Well, the more time that elapses, the more interesting and significant Mr. Walsh becomes.
Now, what you're releasing tonight is a fragment of his hotel registration, and there is something distinctive in the handwriting.
Yes, if your viewers look at the E in Brexfield and the E in SE4, you'll notice that there is a peculiarity, and we would like any of your viewers who know people with handwriting like that to tell us. It's
almost as though he's drawn a downward, either an L or a downward stroke, and then a Z backwards,
that's right,
as it were.
Z backwards up through the upright.
In general, how is the inquiry progressing?
Well, we've got an awful lot of inquiries still going on. We've embarrassed a few people that have not come forward, and we would ask those people who stayed at the Grand Hotel in false names to come forward and identify themselves in order that we can eliminate them from our inquiry.
Despite the seriousness, some people still have not come forward voluntarily.
That's right, yes.
You've had to discover them?
Yes.
OK. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Rees, indeed.
Thank you.
Well, this month, we start with the murder of a policeman. You'll almost certainly have read about the case, and it appeared in the press on the same day as Mrs. Gandy's death was reported. It was 7 weeks ago, Wednesday the 31st of October. Police Sergeant John Speed, a married man with 2 children, was buried at Leeds Parish Church, ironically just 50 feet from where he'd been gunned down. He was shot as he went to help a colleague who was gravely wounded. Sergeant Speed and his colleague were both unarmed, and on the face of it, there appeared to be precious little motive for such violence. But West Yorkshire Police believe the shooting may be linked to 2 previous robberies in the area. We start our reconstruction with a look back to 1981.
Police, please. Hello? Could you send somebody round now to outside Leeds Parish Church? There's two guys that look like they're going to pinch a car. It's a yellow Mark III Ford Cortina. It's right outside the door, right opposite the front door of Leeds Parish Church.
Will you attend Kirkgate near to the parish church? A report of two men acting suspiciously near to a yellow Ford Cortina saloon.
Just a minute. Where are you going?
I'm not going anywhere. Why? What's wrong?
We've had a report that two men have been acting suspiciously around this car park. Is it you?
I've done out.
You've been messing about with this Cortina?
No.
Have you
I
been in
haven't
this
done
car?
anything.
I've checked around the car park, but all is in order.
2977. Couldn't you get Sergeant Speed to come to the front of the parish church Kirkgate? (10:13). 10:13. I've been shot. Get an ambulance. 2977 to control. Description of gunman. He's a white male, about 40 years of age. Stocky build, wearing a grey flat cap and an olive green army-type jacket.
Get out of the back.
What the hell's going off, mate?
Just leave me then.
Put the guy there. Everybody's fighting. Come on then.
Belgav control to all units. Suspect has hijacked a Ford Transit van. The registration number, Echo Whiskey Uniform 455 Yankee. It's blue in colour and has Stanton roofing painted on the side with a ladder fixed to the roof. Stantons. It's the police from Gipton. Can you put the light on top of that van? It'll help us to find it. OK, thank you very much.
The Indian Prime Minister, Mrs. Gandhi, has been shot dead by assassins in Delhi. The shooting happened just a few hours ago, and Mrs. Gandhi was rushed to hospital for...
Spotted weather, please, Francis.
Yes, there's a splash reaching Scotland and Ireland now, and it's going to be a damp Halloween for Scotland and Ireland. Further south, England and Wales looks pretty good today. It's going to be warm, quite sunny. There's some morning mist to clear. There's the odd patchy black cloud.
Of the sad death of Mrs. Gandhi, but we will be bringing you that tomorrow.
There we are, thank you very much indeed. Very warm, extraordinarily warm for the time of the year, don't you think?
Yeah, it should be about 12, 13. It's probably 16, 17 this afternoon, yeah. So Indian summer.
Control to Firearm Unit 51. Will you attend St Elmo's Grove, Leeds 9 immediately? The hijacked vehicle has been recovered in that area. Will you conduct an immediate search there? Outside the Anglers Club in Nippet Lane. He's a white male, 5 feet 10 inches, well built although not fat, around 40 years of age, mousy coloured hair but greying, collar length. He's wearing a brown and grey checked cap, olive green combat type jacket and dark trousers. Can I reiterate that this man is armed and dangerous? If seen, do not approach but inform control.
Well, the man in charge of the inquiry is Detective Chief Superintendent John Conboy. Firstly, why are you linking those two raids we saw at the beginning of that reconstruction, the two raids in Pudsey in 1981?
Because the gun used and the bullets used are very similar to the gun bullets used in the shooting of the two police officers.
And what do we know about this gun?
It's a .38 revolver, similar to that gun there.
Right. People in the underworld might know about that gun?
It may well be that somebody has sold the gun within the last few months in Leeds, yes.
All right, now let's try and establish the geography. All of this, of course, took place within a very small area. In fact, within 1.5 miles of Kirkgate Parish Church, where the shooting happened. The gunman then ran off, chased by Constable John Raj, to this point here, where he hijacked that blue van at Rhodes Filling Station. The next sighting we have is about a mile away in St Elmo Grove, where, incredibly it seems, he stayed with the van for over 3/4 of an hour. Then, having been spotted by a patrol car, he abandoned the van, taking with him a blue helmet, and headed off this way. Here at Tory Road, he was seen getting rid of the blue helmet. But the trail didn't end there. There were 4 more sightings of the gunman before he reached Leeds Anglers Club at Nippets Lane, where he was seen for the last time, as far as we know, by that woman hanging out her washing. Now, why would he have spent 3/4 of an hour with the van?
Well, I feel he was hiding in public in that area. It's a quiet area of Leeds, off the main York-Leeds road. It may well be he's waiting for his accomplice to arrive there, or it may well be that he was going to carry out a robbery at a nearby post office or building society.
Right. What had happened to his accomplice, incidentally?
Well, his accomplice was last seen running through the Garden of Rest and onto the railway embankment, and we don't really have any more sightings of him then.
But I gather he was seen, or at least conceivably it was him, was seen talking to a woman by some people working in an old people's home.
There's a possibility he was seen on the Eber estate of Bermontoffs by people in the old people's home talking to that woman there.
Now,
yes.
this woman hasn't come forward yet, despite your appeals.
No, we would like her to come forward. She's about 45'4" with fair hair. I've made a number of appeals for her to come forward, and I feel she should do, because I think she gave that man directions.
And what about that man? What do we know about his appearance?
Well, he's between 30 and 40, 5'10" to 6 foot. He's got dark brown hair. He was wearing a dark donkey jacket and green overalls.
Presumably what you want from the public are any sightings that they might have had of these 2 men on that morning. It was, what, Wednesday the 31st of October? All this happened between roughly 9 and 10 o'clock in the morning.
Well, it may well be that people in Leeds may have seen those 2 men together before, and I would hope they would come in and tell us if they have. Any criminal in Leeds, and we've had a great deal of help from the criminals of Leeds, may identify them. I would hope they'd come forward. And if there's anyone who may have kept them in a guest house, lodging house or hotel the night before, I would like them to come forward.
The underworld really has helped you try and trace this man?
They have, yes.
Here is the Crimewatch video fit of him. There you see him coloured in. Maybe you could just repeat what we're looking for.
Well, he's about 40 years of age, 5'10". He's stocky build. He was wearing that check cap, olive green combat jacket, dark trousers, and as I said, he's about 40 years of age.
In the reconstruction, he had a rather stiff sort of gait, a rather strange run. Was that because he'd hurt himself, or does he normally run like that?
He may have hurt himself near the wall at the parish church. A number of witnesses have said he ran pincy-toed.
Right. John Conboy, thank you very much indeed. If there's any way in which you think that you might be able to help, please do call us. Here's the number, 01811 8055. Remember, there's a very big reward. You can talk to a BBC researcher if you prefer. You can call the police directly in Leeds. The number there is Leeds 454 197. That's 0532 454 197. And let me stress that you can call in the strictest confidence.
And now the Crimewatch Incident Desk, where we invite the police to appeal to you directly. Here are Detective Constable Helen Phelps and Chief Inspector David Hatcher.
First on Incident Desk, we're appealing for your help on the murder of a 76-year-old lady, Barbara Pinder, described by her friends as strong-willed and lively. She was strangled, then stabbed 35 times at her home in Battersea in London, sometime between Friday the 26th and Sunday the 28th of October. She lived here at Prince of Wales Mansions in Prince of Wales Drive, and we need to trace anyone who was seen entering the flats during that weekend. Mrs. Pinder lived in flat 24A, and to remind you, that was the weekend that the clocks went back. Many witnesses have already come forward, and 2 in particular remember seeing 3 workmen enter the mansions at about 10:45 on the morning of Friday, October the 28th. Those 2 witnesses produced this photo fit of one of the men, and here at Crimewatch they were able to improve on the picture to produce this video fit. The man was about 5'9", 35 to 40 years old, and wore a red jumper. One of his 2 colleagues wore blue overalls, and the men were carrying tools. Later that morning, 3 other men were seen in a green van outside Prince of Wales Mansions. We want to hear from anyone who saw that green van, or this man and his 2 fellow workmen.
Your help is also needed in Manchester in the hunt for a man who raped an 11-year-old girl. It happened a month ago on Wednesday the 21st of November in the Moston area. We're anxious to trace a man seen outside the entrance to Moston Youth Centre in Hoff Hall Road shortly after 7 p.m. He's described as 28 years old, 5 foot 10 inches tall, and was wearing jeans and a blue cagoule with the hood up, and these rather expensive trainers. They're the distinctive high-tech brand. After the attacks, he escaped over a fence beside the centre and ran across Moston playing fields towards Albine Street and Pym Street. If you live in this area, perhaps you remember seeing him. He must have been very muddy after the attack. Next to the centre is Moston College, and anyone taking evening classes there that night may have seen the man around 7 o'clock. Remember, the attack happened on Wednesday the 21st of November here at the Moston Youth Centre, and it may be linked to a similar incident 2 days earlier, about a mile away, here at the junction of Victoria Avenue East and Rochdale Road. A man dressed in similar clothes attempted to rape a 12-year-old girl. This description, this time, was of a man in his late teens. If you have any information at all, you can ring us here in confidence.
Police in Thames Valley need your help to complete their inquiries into this murder. On Thursday the 18th of October, the burning body of a man was found here in Willets Lane, Denham. It's just off the M40 in Buckinghamshire. We still need to find the victim's car. It was a red Colt Mirage, like this one, and it's disappeared. There's the registration number, A268ARX. At least that's what it was. It could be anything now. Have you seen one like it in your street? We've reason to believe it's still somewhere between London and Buckinghamshire. Remember the number, A268ARX, and ring us if you've seen that car.
And just in case you've still got some Christmas shopping to do, take a look at this lot. They're exclusive and very valuable fur coats, and 30 of them, just like these, have been stolen and are no doubt being offered to new owners. Some of them have pelt numbers, and police in Cheshire have been trying to track them down since they were stolen from a furrier's in Wilmslow late on Thursday the 27th of September. They'd earlier been displayed at a fashion show and were being kept overnight at Marshall's Furs in Water Lane. The thieves smashed their way into the shop, and from witnesses we've been able to compile these photo fits of 2 people who may have been involved in the raid. The pair are thought to have Liverpool accents and may use a white Mercedes car seen in the area prior to the robbery. 30 furs, valued at more than £40,000, were stolen. They're all one-offs, and these are some of the pelt numbers of the coats, which are mainly a mixture of sables and minks. They could be anywhere by now: Manchester, Liverpool, even London. You never know where they might turn up. So if you do get offered furs like these, fresh from the back of a lorry, give us a ring here, or ring your local police.
And the number to ring if you can help in any way, 01811 8055. That's 01811 8055.
Our next case is almost certainly the most difficult we've ever asked your help with. It's 5 years old, and not only are police hunting for a murderer, they're also still trying to find out who the victim is. Forensic scientists have unravelled part of the puzzle. Detectives now want to see if there's anything that you can add. The story starts in Kent. Bedgebury Forest lies between Tunbridge Wells and Hawkshurst, just off the A21. In October 1979, the body of a young woman was found by a horsewoman riding through the forest. The victim had been battered and her face was badly mutilated. There was no handbag, no identification, and virtually nothing to go on.
Well, with us tonight is Detective Superintendent Peter Spittles, who's been in charge of the case and has brought in the main clue, the dress that she was wearing there. Superintendent Spittles, how did you try to find out who the woman was?
We did all the usual inquiries through the Missing Persons Bureau at New Scotland Yard, through the social services, through the hospitals and from doctors. We also did a large poster campaign throughout Great Britain and Europe, but we were unable to find any clues as to her identity. So we did in fact call on the services of the pathologist, and he has in fact come up with a number of clues for us.
That's Dr. Peter Vanessis here. What clues have you turned up?
Well, among the clues, we looked at her teeth. In fact, I have here a demonstration skull, and her teeth, in fact, were very worn down, particularly in the molar region here. She also had wisdom teeth, which actually placed her around about the age of 30 years. In addition, we noted from the examination of her teeth that, in fact, she had never visited a dentist in her life, so her teeth were in a very poor state of repair. In addition, she had no evidence of nicotine staining on her teeth, nor her fingers, which indicated that she was a non-smoker.
Do her lungs bear that out?
Her lungs certainly do bear that out, and also they show that, in fact, that they are very clean, which is indicative of her having lived in the country rather than in the city.
The city lungs are much blacker, are they?
Yes, if we examine a microscopical slide of city lungs, we can see that, in fact, there are quite clear carbon deposits present around blood vessels in this field that we have here.
So she was probably a country girl and a non-smoker.
Yes.
Anything else? I gather she had an ectopic pregnancy.
That's right. When we examined her abdomen, we found that she had this ectopic pregnancy, which, in my view, had been present for about 4 to 6 weeks. But, in fact, it had been bleeding for a period of 2 to 3 weeks. And here we can see quite clearly the area where there are remnants of embryonic tissue. And nearby, as we scan the slide, there is a lot of blood clot of varying ages, which indicates that it had been bleeding for that period of time.
So she must have been in a lot of pain.
Yes, she must certainly have been in a lot of pain, and anybody who was with her or knew her very well would obviously realise that she was very distressed. She may even have visited her doctor and complained possibly of an appendicitis because it was on the right side.
So we're beginning to get an impression of the woman. She was probably about 30 years old, almost certainly a country girl, as I said, and a non-smoker, and she may well have been a mother. Is that right?
Yes, she had obvious stretch marks on her abdomen, clearly indicating that she'd had an advanced pregnancy at some time, and the appearances of the womb also indicate that, so she probably had at least one child.
Right. So, Superintendent Spittles, what have your inquiries added to that now?
The main clue we have is the dress that Josephine Hadlow has at the moment. We took it to her at the Medway College of Design, and she told us that that particular dress is in fact made from a furniture fabric, and it is homemade. It has been made by a woman at home, and it has been altered on at least 2 occasions. One around the hem, and the other time is with darts through the breast area on 2 separate occasions.
So it's not a bought dress, it's a homemade dress, and maybe she wasn't very well off then?
No, we think that it was possibly bought in an Oxfam shop or a second-hand shop, and she could have been living a very poor existence.
So that dress really is crucial, that might lead you
Yes,
to
it's
find out
most
who she was.
important. It's the most important clue we have, and we would like to find either the lady that made it at home or the person that altered the dress.
So we've had an account of this woman's way of life, and we know what she was wearing. Do we have any idea now of what she looked like?
Yes. Again, we asked Dr. Venices for his help in reconstructing the skull, and then an artist's impression was formulated from that, from which we did publish this impression, and we would ask people if they recognise that impression to come forward and tell us who they think it is.
We're not expecting a great deal on this, but if conceivably you think you knew this woman, call us here on Crimewatch UK. And what about the unusual dress? Do you remember making it or altering it? Whatever your information, phone us on 01811 8055, or you can call Kent Police. The number there is Tunbridge Wells 2642. That's 0892 262 42. Now this month's photo calls, people you might recognise whom the police would like to interview. Chief Inspector David Hatcher and DC Helen Phelps have the pictures. See if there's anyone here you think you know.
We've 4 faces for you to look at on our photo call this month. First of all, have you seen either of these men? Terry Smith on the left and John Kendall on the right. They made a dramatic escape from a prison van on Wednesday the 21st of November. They were serving long sentences for robbery and burglary. These 2 may be dangerous and should not be approached.
The next face on our photo call is this one, Alexander Hamilton. Sussex Police would like to interview Mr Hamilton in connection with a number of offences of criminal deception. On the 19th of November, an 86-year-old lady from Worthing met a man who gave his name as Stuart Alexander. He claimed to be a valet on the Canberra and persuaded her that he could get her discount on a cruise. He so convinced her that when they met again next day, she parted with £1,200 in cash. Needless to say, she never saw it or him again. Stuart Alexander, who by the way uses that name when he stays at guest houses, has also claimed to be a valet on the QE2, and he's conned elderly ladies with the offer of Chanel No. 5 perfume. On every occasion, though, he's sailed off with the money. Alexander Hamilton is 63. He's described as 5 feet 7 inches tall, average build, and with grey, balding hair. He's well-spoken, with a Scottish accent.
And have you seen this man? His name's Austin John McCormick, although his usual aliases Christy Miller and Jimmy Segdon. Merseyside police want to interview him in connection with the murder of William Ossu, who was killed in a fight at the Kowloon Club in Nelson Street, Liverpool, on the 15th of November 1982. Austin John McCormick is 32 years old, 5 foot 10 inches tall, stockily built and frequently alters his appearance, but there are some things he can't disguise. The heavy tattoos on his arms and the scar on his left cheek. If you've seen him, or indeed any of the other faces on our photo call, please call us here at Crimewatch UK.
Now we want to take you back 7 months to the night of Thursday, the 24th of May. What happened on that night has tantalised a large team of detectives and orphaned 2 small children. The place is Balsall Heath in Birmingham. There's a red light district there that attracts streetwalkers and cruising cars from all around the city. Several women have been murdered in Birmingham in recent years. Prostitutes are frightened, but they work on.
I've been a prostitute for 18 years, and I work in the Balsall Heath area. Since Yvonne died, it's very frightening. Very, very frightening out there. Because you never know who you're picking up. He could talk very, very nice, act as a gentleman until he gets you to the place. Then he could turn all of a sudden.
That's almost certainly what happened to Yvonne Coley. She was 28, quiet but well-liked, and though she'd never married, she was a mother with 2 young daughters to support.
Beverly, don't you stay up late watching this telly?
And finally, the 24 hours after the Lancashire water station.
Good night, Beverly.
It's still not
Don't
known
stay up
what
late
caused
now.
the explosion, which killed
No.
9
Good night,
people.
love.
One of them
Now don't go to sleep late.
Messages of sympathy have been sent by the Queen and by the Prime Minister. This has been News at 10. Good night.
We know just after News at 10 had finished that Yvonne made herself ready to go to work. She was late tonight, for the 24th of May was her mother's birthday, and there'd been a party. Sometime after 11, she left her house in Bordsley Green. Meanwhile, 2 miles away in Balsall Heath, 2 other girls had found a punter whom they remember well. A rather drunken client, and a blue van that would soon assume a crucial significance.
She's just my friend, that's all. She always comes with me.
I want her out, and I want you in the back.
I don't get in the back of vans.
In the back, I say.
Providing you pay me first.
There you are. Leave your bag here.
I just want a cigarette, all right?
Oh, okay. Hey, you! Bring my money! Please, come back! Bring my money!
Yvonne arrived in Balsall Heath at about 11:40. The police believed the blue van was still cruising round the area. Halfway up Playdepool Road, before getting to her beat, Yvonne stopped briefly here.
Hello.
One of them meat patties.
As far as the shopkeeper can remember, Yvonne appeared to have no more than small change in her purse.
See ya.
As Yvonne crossed Brighton Road, she was recognised by this local club owner.
Hey, push it!
She was now heading for her usual beat on the corner of Sandford Road.
You're late coming up tonight.
I've been at my mum's. We're having a party, it's a birthday.
Oh. What time is it anyway?
12:15.
Oh, I'm going home. I'll see you tomorrow night.
Oh, stay on a bit. 5 minutes.
OK, wait till you get your first one, then I'm off. Oh, it's a packy, I don't want in.
Oh, I'll do it, me.
I'll see you later.
Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow night. Ta-ra.
Yvonne went with her first client at 11:45. Later evidence, the amount of cash found with her body, suggests she did have other customers in the next half hour. If she did, she might have come here with them, a car park behind Ladypool Road, where the prostitutes earn their money in their clients' cars. But at some stage she must have come here, to the Warstock area about 3 miles away. It was here at 20 minutes past midnight that a couple walking home noticed a similar blue van parked in the entrance to Coxmore's Woods golf course. 8:30 the next morning, the same spot on Warstock Lane. The blue van was gone now, but a few paces from where it had been, a local resident made a gruesome discovery on his morning walk.
Brother Mike 21, attend Warstock Lane to a report of a female body under the hedgerow on the golf course. Brother C Mike 21 received, over.
I knew Yvonne as a friend. They always say, oh no, it won't happen to me. But look at the heartbreak it brings when you're left for dead. Those men, all the prostitutes, if they'd seen anything that night, we'd just like them to come forward, because somebody must have seen something that night. Everybody's not blind. They're not.
Well, before we speak to the man in charge of the inquiry, Detective Superintendent Roy Taylor, let's just recap on the geography of the area. When Yvonne arrived in Balsall Heath, she walked down Ladypool Road. The club owner saw her here as she crossed Brighton Road. Then we saw her meet her friend here on the corner of Sandford Road. That was the last time she was seen alive. It was about 3 miles away on Coxmore Woods golf course that her body was found next morning, just off Warstock Lane. She'd been strangled. The Superintendent Taylor, that blue van there seems to be the crucial clue, is it?
It is crucial, yes, because we have 3 sightings of the van that night. One at about 11:30 p.m. in Birchwood Crescent, again in the area of Church Road a short time later, and then, of course, near to where Yvonne's body was found at about 12:20 a.m. on the Friday morning.
So you do need to trace that, if only to eliminate it from your inquiries?
We do most definitely, yes.
The trouble is there are hundreds of blue vans, of course. Can you narrow it down for us?
Yes, it's a dark blue van in the 15, 17 or 22 hundredweight class. No windows in the side, and it is fitted with, we believe, Lee Conquest, this type of tyre, which is a cross-ply with Avon Supervan tyres also.
So that's an interesting combination of tyres on one van?
Yes, we've checked many thousands of vans in this inquiry, and as yet we've only turned up 3 with similar combination of tyres. It's almost like a fingerprint.
What about the driver?
Well, we don't know for certain the driver of the van in Warstock Lane, but of course we've got the Asian gentleman that we're looking for, who was involved with the 2 prostitutes earlier in the evening, and he is described as an Asian, 40 years of age, very well built, with a moustache, a Mexican-style moustache, which will particularly distinguish him.
Now, Yvonne was last definitely seen at 11:45 that night, and that blue van, the last sighting of a blue van was at 12:20. Do you think those are the times between which she was murdered?
I think that she was probably murdered a short time after that, and that would be consistent with the sighting of the blue van in Warstock Lane, because when she went out and when she bought the patty, we know that she had no money with her. We know that she had money with her when her body was found, and of course that would indicate that she'd been with a number of clients.
What about a blue Mercedes that somebody said they saw her in?
Yes, we've got an unconfirmed sighting of her in a blue Mercedes in Brighton Road at about 1 a.m. that morning, and we do need particularly to try and find the person who was driving that vehicle, whether he was with a prostitute or with his wife or whoever, if only to lose the sight to try and eliminate them from the inquiry.
Briefly, how else can the public help?
Well, of course, if we can trace the van with that combination of tyres on it, if we could trace the person that was with Yvonne, anybody that was with Yvonne that night, then I would appeal to them to come forward and contact me.
Superintendent Taylor, thank you.
Thank you.
If there's any way you think you can help in any way, please don't let this happen again. The number to ring, 01811 8055, that's here at Crimewatch, or you can call Edward Road Police Station at Birmingham 440 1155. That's 021 440 1155.
And if you haven't had a chance to write the numbers down, they're all on CFAX, if you have that, on page 186, there for the rest of the week. And if you don't have a phone or you can't get through, please write to us. Here's the address, Crimewatch UK, BBC TV Centre, London W12 8QT. The main number is easy to remember, and we're going to be here all evening, so please ring if you think you might be able to help in any way, however small.
In fact, as always, we'll be back to tell you what develops in about an hour from now. That's Crimewatch UK Update here on BBC One at about 11:05. If you can't stay up till then, please don't have nightmares. A big Home Office research study published last week shows that the risk of serious crime for most people is, and I quote, very small. And contrary to what most people imagine, the figures show clearly women are safer than men, and old people are safest of all by a long, long way, which means that, thankfully, the sort of crimes we've asked your help with are very rare indeed.
And maybe you can help make them rarer still. We'll be waiting for your call.
For the moment, good night.